and welcome to AST News. Today's segment is all about the Progressive Era.
The Progressive Era was a key time in Americans' history where people of all backgrounds worked together to fix the many problems America was dealing with at the time.
In order to get an in-depth look at this era, we have traveled back in time to meet with key figures and everyday people of this time period in this documentary. Hello, this is Tushara reporting to AST News. We are now in one of the textile mills of the Progressive Era to get a good look at one of the many things that sparked the progressive movement, the rise of industry. I am here with Ivy Smith, one of the young women working in factories at this time. In fact, 1 in every 5 adult women was working in the labor force at this time. So tell me, Ivy, how has the rise of industry affected you?
Well, it caused me and many other women to go through horrible atrocities such as 12-hour workdays, exposure to chemicals, and pollutants, and extremely low wages.
If the working conditions were so bad, why didn't you guys protest?
Well, we have tried many times. Hi, I'm at the Moneybag factory with factory owner Albert Moneybag to see how he handles the strikes. So, Mr. Moneybags, how do you deal with your workers and them going on strikes?
Well, whenever my labor force decides to revolt, I do many things depending on the severity of the situation. If I learn about the situation ahead of time, I'll close down my factory in order to break the strike. However, if it gets too out of hand, I will usually call the state or local militia to calm it down.
If your working conditions were so bad, how did you even find the workers willing to work in these conditions in the first place?
Well, that is where immigrants come in handy. You see, many of these immigrants were willing to work in poor conditions because they were Europeans facing persecution and poverty in their home countries, so they moved here for the golden opportunity. However, many were not educated and forced to take these jobs. So all we had to do was take advantage of their desperate circumstances and get them to work in facilities that are overcrowded, have inadequate water facilities, poor sanitation, and disease.
Wow, thanks Mr. Moneybags. Back to you, Svanika.
These bad working conditions coupled with the rising problem of child labor, causing one woman to speak out, and her name is Florence Kelly. I'm here with Miss Kelly to talk about her various accomplishments in the realm of social reform. Miss Kelly, what was one of your accomplishments that you are most proud of?
I am most proud of becoming the head of the National Consumers League, where I helped to create 10-hour workdays as opposed to the previous 12-hour workdays, and a few minimum wage laws.
Wow, what inspired you to become the head of the National Consumers League and help the lives of factory workers?
Well, I was hired to investigate the labor industry, and my findings inspired me to bring about changes in working conditions for these laborers. I was also the first woman to be selected to be the chief factory inspector for the state of Illinois, and in this post, I tried to enforce rules upon sweatshops to treat their employees better.
I have heard you have also campaigned against child labor. Is this true?
Yes, I was avidly against child labor, and even went as far as to help found the National Child Labor Committee.
Well, that wraps up this interview. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Kelly.
It was my pleasure. Immigrants were often forced to accept low wages for their labor, and because of this, they were forced to live in small tenements which were cramped and had very poor sanitation. I am here with Nobel Peace Prize recipient Jane Addams, an important woman in the area of social reform for immigrants, as she founded the Chicago Hull House. Miss Addams, what was the Chicago Hull House and why did you found it?
Well, the Chicago Hull House is a house that provides social and educational opportunities for working class people, many of whom were newly arrived immigrants in Chicago's Upper West Side. I founded the house in order to help immigrants that I saw struggling around me.
You truly are an inspiration to all, Miss Addams. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Let's zoom out and take a look at the larger perspectives during the Progressive Era. Here we have one representative from the labor union and one from the rich industrialists to talk about the positives and negatives of the Progressive Era. All right, are both sides ready?
Yeah, duh. I was born ready.
Of course.
Then let's begin. Who would like to go first?
Me. I would like to start out with how you're wrong.
Hold on. Let's start with your intro. Describe why you believe that the Progressive Era was successful.
Okay, well, the Progressive Era was a flourishing time for child labor laws, improved working conditions in the long run, broke trust funds, private monopolies, increased economic growth in work and middle class, and...
Wait, can you explain more about the private monopolies and why they were bad?
Yeah, the private monopolies were bad because they brought about a lot of corruption in the government. And this corruption was exposed by many muck-racking journalists like Ida Tarbell. In her book, The History of Standard Oil Company, she exposed the corruption that was going on in the Standard Oil Trust, one of which had a private monopoly on crude oil.
Okay, now, do you have anything to say, George?
Yes. Initially, during the Progressive Era, much of the working class was in poverty, as well as worked in poor conditions with low wages.
What? Psh, that doesn't even matter. Industrialization created larger variety, quantity, and quality of products, and there were more regulations on railroads and other companies.
Jerry, please let George finish.
Well, Jim Crow laws were established to lower black voting rates, which is definitely a minus for the Progressive Era.
What? So what? Income taxes were put in place so that the government no longer needed to rely on liquor tax. Women got more rights.
Wait, how did women...
To begin with, Margaret Sanger got women access to safe, inexpensive contraception. And through this, women were able to gain more control over their health, and it promoted women's autonomy. And also women got suffrage. Are you anti-feminist?
What? No! I'm just trying to say that...
Don't get me started on the federal regulation, labor and health legislation, improved 8-hour days and living wages, and social insurance.
Jerry, shut up and let George finish.
Thank you. Prohibition created more drinking and crime rates rather than lowering them, which is extremely bad and affected almost all of America negatively.
I already proved that point wrong.
Oh my.
Wait, I'm not finished yet. Put the camera this way. Oh wait, I'm done.
Well, that didn't go as planned.
Yes, it did. I knew I would win.
Can someone please bring George back into the studio? Well, it looks like we have to cut this segment short today. Thanks, Jerry.
Oh, sorry.
Well, thanks for joining us today and going back and learning about the Progressive Era.
I see you, George. You can run, but you can't hide.